Considered by many as the best manager to have ever lived, Pep Guardiola has taken over football with his tiki-taka approach. With a trophy cabinet that consists of 27 titles in a little over 10 years, Guardiola has cups in Spain, Germany, and England. There is no doubt that Guardiola is a top-class manager, but he's really the GOAT. What's up, guys? It's Road Football, and in this video, we're going to take a look at just how good is Guardiola. Guardiola was appointed coach of Barcelona B on June 21st, 2007, when he managed to achieve promotion. The following season, FC Barcelona announced in May 2008 that Guardiola would be appointed manager of the senior squad to replace Frank Rijkaard. Right off the bat, Guardiola will start his career in Barcelona with some controversial decisions, stating that the trio, Ronaldinho, Deco, and Samuel Eto'o, were not part of his plans, while signing and promoting players like Sergio Busquets, Pedro, Gerard Piqué, and Dani Alves. At the end of that summer, Ronaldinho left to Milan, Deco left to Chelsea, and it was Eto'o who stayed in Barcelona. That season, Barcelona had a starting 11 of Valdés, Dani Alves, Puyol, Piqué, Abidal, Yaya Touré, Xavi, Iniesta, Thierry Henry, Eto'o, and a young 21-year-old Messi. With the new emergence of the tiki-taka style, Barcelona went to win the treble, winning every tournament that they were in, and beating rivals Real Madrid 6-2 and Manchester United 2-0 along the way. For the 2009-2010 season, Pep Guardiola will get his wish of exchanging Samuel Eto'o plus $46 million for emerging star Zlatan Ibrahimovic. This decision will later haunt him. That season, Barcelona will go on to defeat Athletic Bilbao in the Supercopa de España and Shakhtar Donetsk in the UEFA Super Cup. Later that same year, Barcelona managed to win their first ever FIFA Club World Cup and became the first club to ever win every title that they competed in a calendar year. Barcelona would then get knocked out of the Copa del Rey in the round of 16 to Sevilla on away goals, win La Liga with a then record of 99 points, but get knocked out of the Champions League by future champions Jose Mourinho's Inter Milan, who had Samuel Eto'o, which played a crucial role in knocking them out of the Champions League 3-2 aggregate. The following year, Barcelona will have another great season as they won La Liga, a league season where they beat their rivals Real Madrid, managed under Jose Mourinho, the manager that knocked them out of the Champions League the season before, 5-0. They will go on to beat Sir Alex Ferguson's Manchester United, again in the Champions League final 3-1, although they would lose the Copa del Rey final to Real Madrid 1-0 by a Cristiano Ronaldo header goal in the 103rd minute. In the 2011-2012 season, Pep Guardiola's Barcelona will go on and beat Real Madrid 5-4 in the Spanish Super Cup, and then claim the FIFA Club World Cup a second time by defeating a Neymar dos Santos 4-0. Despite this, they will go to lose to Chelsea in the semifinals of the Champions League and lose La Liga to Real Madrid with a record-breaking 100 points. At the end of the season, Pep Guardiola will announce his departure from the football club Barcelona and take a season off. Pep Guardiola will then come back to the coaching world in the 2013-2014 season by taking over German giants and treble winners Bayern Munich. Pep Guardiola was seen as a person who could take Bayern Munich to the next level and be the first team to defend the Champions League. With a strong squad that consisted of players that were in their prime, Bayern Munich had the best goalkeeper at the time, Manuel Neuer, prime center back Boateng, legend Philipp Lahm, David Alaba, Xabi Alonso, Toni Kroos, prime Robben, prime Ribéry, Müller, and potentially the next star, Mario Götze. In Pep Guardiola's first final, which was the German Super Cup against Borussia Dortmund, Bayern lost 4-2. Despite this, Pep Guardiola did what everyone expected he would do, which was bring complete fear to all of his competition in Europe. Bayern then managed to win the UEFA Super Cup against Chelsea in penalties. Pep would win his third Club World Cup that same year and claim his first German league title with 7 games left to spare. However, Bayern Munich were drawn against Real Madrid in the semifinals of the Champions League. Bayern Munich, being heavy favorites, lost the first leg 1-0 and the second leg 4-0, which came to a 5-0 aggregate defeat. After the loss, Guardiola was criticized for his tactics. Still, Pep Guardiola finished the 2013-2014 season by winning the DFB Pokal 2-0 in extra time. The following season, with the signing of Borussia Dortmund striker Robert Lewandowski, Bayern were again seen as heavy favorites to win the Champions League and became the team no one wanted to face. Bayern will go and dominate the league and cause a complete tear in the Champions League. Bayern beat Roma 9-1 at aggregate, Shakhtar Donetsk 7-0 aggregate, and Porto 7-4 aggregate. However, once again, Bayern were drawn up against another Spanish team and Guardiola's ex-team, Barcelona. This Barcelona had a striking trio consisted of Luis Suarez, Neymar, and Messi. Barcelona would go on and eliminate Bayern 5-3, and later that same week Bayern were eliminated on the German Cup in penalties. In the 2015-2016 season, Guardiola's Bayern will once again lose the German Cup to Wolfsburg, but like previous years, Bayern will still dominate the league, winning their first 10 games. Bayern would again make it to the semifinals of the Champions League and face another Spanish powerhouse, Atletico Madrid. Bayern would lose on away goals 2-2, and this would be Pep Guardiola's last chance to win the UCL with Bayern Munich, but he ultimately failed. Pep Guardiola would then attempt to conquer the English Premier League with giants Manchester City. Pep took City to win their first 10 games in a row, which consisted of beating his rival, Jose Mourinho, 2-1 in the Manchester Derby. City lost their first game that season versus Spurs, and after this game, City would see a run of poor results. Manchester City would lose to United in the EFL Cup, which brought City's winless record to 6 games. Then Manchester City would get knocked out of the Champions League quarterfinals to Monaco 6-6 on away goals. This loss will leave Manchester City with no titles and will be Pep's first season without a title. The 2017-2018 season, Manchester City would splash the cash to sign players like Danilo, Bernardo Silva, Ederson, Kyle Walker, and Mendy. City saw much success this season. They would win the EPL Cup and would absolutely dominate the Premier League, finishing the season with a record-breaking 100 points. Despite such a dominant season, they crashed out of the Champions League in the quarterfinals to Liverpool in a shocking 5-1 defeat. Still, Pep was highly praised for his achievements in the Barclays Premier League. In the 2018-2019 season, Pep would go on to clinch the title from Liverpool with 98 points. They would also achieve a domestic treble for the very first time in English history. Despite all of his success, City would go lose to another English team in the Champions League. This time it would be Spurs who beat City 4-4 aggregate. Pep still claims that this was his most successful season, and a lot of people in the media tend to agree with him. Still, despite all of his achievements, many people criticize Pep Guardiola for his failure to win Champions Leagues with different clubs besides Barcelona. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, Guardiola already has 2 Champions Leagues, which is more than most managers have in the world. And although this might be true, Pep Guardiola led Barcelona to the Champions League with arguably the best player to have ever lived, and a crazy good surrounding squad like Xavi and Iniesta. Although I will admit that it was his style that led them there, I believe that it was just perfect timing that put all the pieces together for Barcelona to win 2 Champions Leagues. Also, we cannot overlook the fact that Barcelona had very lucky calls that led them to the final.
If I told you there was 1 second between the referee whistling and you striking the ball, what would you say then?
Makes it even worse.
Now, in 2019, I believe that the top teams have adjusted to the tiki-taka system and found ways to beat it, while teams that aren't as good find it hard to figure out the puzzle. This explains why Pep Guardiola has such good results in domestic leagues and other domestic titles. Also, let's look at the fact that Pep Guardiola has had squads up in every single team that he has taken over. There's no manager that has spent as much money as Pep Guardiola has in the past recent years, so this means that when teams like Spurs are playing in the FA Cup with Llorente as a striker, Manchester City is playing with Gabriel Jesus, a top-class striker. You can put it this way. Teams full of Tier 2 and Tier 3 players are most likely always going to win a domestic treble when it comes to going against a team that only has 11 Tier 1 players. Now, we see Pep Guardiola struggle when it comes to the Champions League, and this could be because in this tournament, it will always be best 11 versus best 11. This cup brings the best out of every player and manager, so for people to rank the domestic treble over the Champions League, I just think it's quite foolish. The Champions League is the best versus the best, so every team that has won the Champions League at one point has gone through adversity. But now, let's compare him to another top-class manager, like Jose Mourinho. And even though he has gone through a rough patch, I still think he's world-class. Mourinho is a manager that started in União de Liria. I can't say it, so I just kind of winged it. But anyways, with good results, he went to Porto and won the Champions League. Then the on-demand manager went to Chelsea and won the League Cup against Liverpool, and after that, he won the Premier League with the highest points up to that date, which was 95 points. This was Chelsea's first league title in over 50 years. The next few seasons after this, he would repeatedly win the FA Cup and the Premier League, but despite his success in the domestic cups, his failure in the Champions League was seen being let go by Chelsea. Next, he made his way to Inter Milan and immediately won the Italian Supercoppa against Roma, followed by a Serie A title in the end of his first season. Then, the following season, he would go on and win the treble, claiming his second Champions League trophy by beating Pep Guardiola along the way and Bayern Munich 2-0 in the final. After this, despite his success at Inter Milan, he would accept the challenge and go to a struggling Real Madrid side being overshadowed by Barcelona. His first season, he would start off well, but lose the top spot to Barcelona in a 5-0 defeat to Pep Guardiola's men. He would finish second in the league, losing the title to Barca and getting knocked out in the semis against Barcelona in controversial fashion. But he managed to break the Madrid second round spell that the club was in for the past 6 years and claim the Copa del Rey, which broke the Real Madrid winning streak to Barcelona that the club was in for the past 3 years. The following season, he would win La Liga, lose the Copa del Rey to Barcelona, and get knocked out to Bayern Munich in the UCL semis by penalties. His next season, he would make it to the semis again in the Champions League, but lose to Dortmund and lose to Atletico Madrid 2-1 in the finals of the Copa del Rey, which will result in him being let go by Real Madrid. He would eventually go back to Chelsea and win the Premier League in his second season, but with a run of poor results, he would get sacked in his third season, making his way to Manchester United. Mourinho's first season was decent. He won the Community Shield, FA Cup, and won the Europa League, but finished 6th in the league. The next season, he would finish 2nd in the league with a horrible Manchester club, and eventually get sacked the next season. Mourinho went to Chelsea, who were beginning to be a top club, went to Inter and won a difficult league right after Milan won the UCL and domestic leagues, went to Madrid and ruined Barca's dominance, and went back to Chelsea and won their league again. Overall, my opinion on Pep Guardiola is that he's a great luxury manager that can dominate domestic leagues. If you give him everything, he would do his job domestically, but if he's in a struggling team like Newcastle, I doubt he could do what Benitez did. Also, top managers find ways to beat Pep's tiki-taka system, so personally I feel like he might never win a Champions League again. In my eyes, rating Pep Guardiola is similar to rating Zidane. They have both had successful seasons, but we never saw what they could do with limited resources, and that's when you realize who's a great manager and who's not. Now, to end it, I'll say this. Pep Guardiola is probably the best luxury manager that has ever existed, but I don't think we can regard him as the GOAT status yet. So I just want to say a huge shout out to all the people that finished watching my first YouTube video. I'm going to be coming out with more, so just wait on it. I want to say also a huge shout out to 2 YouTubers that really helped me and motivated me to make this YouTube channel. Shout out to Have Hope in Football Hut and Raymer Football. I really like their videos and I think you guys should watch them as well because they're pretty cool. Anyways, I'll have a link below if you guys want to see it. But for now, thanks for watching my video. Subscribe if you like it. Peace out.